Hey, this is Carrie with Canary Quilts, and we are on month number 2 of the Birds of a Feather Mystery Sampler Quilt Along. And I just got so excited to do this block because these colors are gorgeous. So if you're unfamiliar, I am part of Fat Quarter Shop's Solid of the Month Club. And each month they send out 12 fabrics in solids. They're different, like this one's pure solids. I think last month was Bella solids. Sometimes they're Konas. But anyway, their theme this year is Birds of America. And this quilt right here is what they suggest you do with it. And I didn't want to do that quilt. No offense against the quilt or anything. I just wanted a little more variety in my quilt. So I'm making my own. And I'm asking you to join me. So every month on the 20th, I will be putting out a pattern of a bird themed block using my bird themed colors. So this month is Hummingbird. It's so pretty. The colors are just so gorgeous and so vibrant. And then I chose the bird's nest block for this. This is a more difficult block. It's never hard, it's just a little more difficult. I did a test of this and found out I needed to use a scant 1/4 inch because there is a lot of bias edges in here. And I think pure solids has a little more stretch in it. Their material feels just a little bit different than most solids I get. So for this second block that I did a scant 1/4 inch. And I talk about that in the video. So, and then I've got my sashing on it and it looks beautiful. So I have, last month was Blue Jay, and I'll link that video down below. You can join anytime. This will be up. I'll have the patterns out on my website and I'll have that information down below also. And you can grab the pattern, you can join me, you can follow along in the video and see how I put it together. And we'll have a beautiful quilt in the end. Just all these beautiful colors that are bird theme with bird theme blocks. So anyway, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You get notified every time I put up a new block, which a new Birds of a Feather block. And I'm trying to do it on the 20th of every month. So you can look out for that. Join my newsletter. You'll get notified then also. And yeah, we'll have some fun doing this along with all the other fun stuff I've got going on my channel. So let's get started with our Hummingbird, our February Hummingbird block. You can get this pattern and other patterns at our library access page at canaryquilts.com. Click on the library access and it will take you to the page where you can sign up and get the password to get into the free resource library, or you can click there if you have the password. Enter the library and you can type in the password at this time and it'll give you access to all our free patterns that we have up there. This pattern and other patterns are available on this website for you to download. Thank you very much for watching this video. Alright, welcome to the February. Last month was Bluebird and I've got a link to that down below. And then this month is Hummingbird, and these are the colors I got. You don't have to use these colors. You can pull from your stash and try to coordinate these colors the best you want or can. You don't even have to use 12 colors if you don't want, but that's how I'm doing it. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to label my colors. So one thing here is on their list of colors, they've got them marked 1 to 12. So this is 1, this is 12. I've done the same thing on here. So when you see a number over here in the key, that corresponds to my number over here. So that's how I'm doing it. And then if you want to number yours, when you see a number 10, you know what color you're going to be pulling out. And then the letters on here are the different cuts that we have. So each cut is going to have several different colors in it. And we have 5 cuts. So that's how I'm doing it. I got my alphabetties here. These are going to be my fabric colors. These are going to be my cuts. So let me get my fabrics cut. And what I'm going to do is keep these also in order so that I don't, some of these like reds are very, very similar, so I don't want to get them mixed up, but I'm just going to keep them in order as I pull them out and cut them And then when I fold them back up, they'll still be in order just in case I need to come back to this. So let me get these cut and I'll show you how I've organized my cuts. Okay, here's my cuts for the Hummingbird block. And I just wanted to go through them real quick to show you how I organize them. So for A, let's just move these out of the way. I had to actually write my own little alphabet-y. We need 6 of fabric 10, 6 squares, 1 of fabric 11, and 1 of fabric 12. So that's kind of how I'm keeping track of everything here. I'm putting the numbers with the fabrics. And then I'm putting the letter, this is an A, I have a double A, doesn't matter. I'm clipping it so that I know all of this is for cut A. And it'll tell me up here what I'm going to need. I'm going to need an A10, I'll need an A11, I can go to this pile and find it. So that's how I've done all of these. My B's, I have 3 fabrics, so I have B3, 1 square, B10, 2 squares, B9, 2 squares. So that's how we do it here, at least for this block. So C is the same, I just have 1 of all my squares. D is, I have 2 of fabric 2, which is the pink, and 4 of fabric 9, which is the green, and I do have numbers in there. And then E is 1 of the fabric 1 and 4 of each fabric 2 and fabric 4. And I have alphabets in there for the numbers. So there's my cuts. So now what we have to do is we have to subcut 4 of these. E is the only one we don't have to subcut. Those will stay squares. So let's go through our subcuts here. Let's start with A. And on A, we need to, this is 10, got some fluff. We need to cut on the diagonal once. So I'm just going to do 2 at a time. And we'll cut that right like, just like that on the diagonal. So when we're done with our number 10, we will have 12 triangles. All right, so there are my A's cut on one diagonal. I've got my numbers back with my colors. So that's what we have for A. So C and D, both of these will be cut just like we did A on one diagonal. The only thing with C is one of our triangles we won't need. We only need 1 triangle from each color. So I'm going to get those cut in a minute because they're exactly like A, but B we want to cut on both diagonals. So let's cut it like this. And then we'll turn it and we'll cut it on the other diagonal. So, like for number 3, we will end up with 4 triangles. And then we're going to do the same for 10 and 9, and we'll end up with 8 triangles from both of those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start constructing are these 4 corner units right here. So we are going to need our A's and our C's for that. So I'll put these aside. And the first thing we want to do is take our 12 and our 11 fabric, because you can see these are 2 different colors right there. And then we need 2 of our 10s to go with each of them, since we have 2 of these. And we're going to make these blocks. Just like that. And then when we're done making these blocks, we're gonna come here and start putting these on each side of this to build our corner. But first, let's make these half square triangle blocks, and we are gonna iron towards the darker green side. So get these sewn up and we'll come back and we'll start adding these triangles on. All right, here's my half square triangles, sewn, iron towards the dark green in my case, and I trimmed them up to 3 inches if needed be. So now what we need to do is we need to add our top. We're going to take our fabric 10, A10, and we're going to add to the top of our half square triangles like that. And then we'll come back and we will add on this side, just like this. So we're creating our corner here. So let's add the top, and what you'll do on all of these is you're going to line the corners up over here. And you will have a tail, but just make sure that your corner is lined up. And pin the side you're going to sew, because there's 2 sides here. Pin the side you're going to sew, that way we don't make any mistakes. Don't like mistakes. Just want to get through this without having to do any ripping. There we go. Same thing over here. Line up that corner. And if it helps, we'll always be sewing on the side of the darker fabric, if that helps you out. Okay, here's the first end of our corner put on, and I iron towards the number 10 or the triangle here. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing with these. Put it on the other side. We're going to sew, if you want to remember this way, the dark green edge. Line our corners up and clip the side you're going to sew. And then half of our corner will be done. And then we're going to also iron towards this corner. We'll come back and clip these tails. Okay, here's my corners, and I just want to trim off my tails. All right. So here are my 2 different corners, because there's 2 colors. And this one is going to get my odd number, and this one's going to get my even number C's. So here's an even number. That's going to go here. An odd number is going to go over here. Even here, odd here. So now all we need to do is put these 2 together and sew right along this edge right here, and we're going to iron towards our big C piece. So we're going to do that with all of these. And then we'll have 4 corners. Okay, here's my corners. I've ironed towards the large triangle, and your block or your corner piece will need to measure 5.5 inches. So if you need to trim, you can do that, or just trim the tails off. I line my diagonal, 45-degree diagonal on the seam, and then see if it hits 5.5, and it does. So I pretty much just need to trim my tails off. So get your tails trimmed, and then we'll set this aside and we'll move on to the inner rows. Actually, I said inner rows. We're going to start with our center square here. We're going to get that built, then we'll build these rows on the outside of it. So we need to take our E and our number 1 fabric, which is this purple, and we only have 1 of these. So I'm just going to pull that out, put my E back, and then our D, we need to grab these 4 number 2 pink fabrics. And there. These are number 9s. I need to keep that on there. So But right now we need our 1 and our 2. And I'm just going to crease the center of my square. And then I will crease the center of my triangle. And since I don't have a front and back on this, on my solids, I'm just going to kind of nest these creases right together. So we're going to sew these on. I'm going to do both. I'm going to do opposite ends at the same time. We will get these sewn on, and then we are going to iron towards these triangles. And then we'll get our tails trimmed and put the other 2 triangles on. Okay, here's my first 2 triangles sewn on. Iron towards a triangle, and then I trimmed the tails even with that center block. So now I'm just going to fold this so that my 2 seams match up. Crease this side. Find that center. I'm going to do the same thing with these. And we'll get these sewn on. We'll get the tails trimmed, and we'll have a pretty little center block. Okay, got the other 2 triangles on. I ironed towards the triangles, and now I'm just trimming those tails off even with our edges. And we need to be 2.5 inches, and we are pretty dang close. A little there, I think a little over here. There we go. There's our center block, piece, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to set that over here with this. And now we can start constructing our inner rows. Okay, we need to grab our B's. And here's fabric 3. Here's fabric 10. And here's fabric 9. So what we need is we need a B3 and a B9 to start off with. So when I say inner rows, I'm talking about this unit right here. And so what we're putting together is right here. So it's going to go just like that. Oh, set your machine right now to a scant 1/4 inch. However that works on your machine. Mine is default of a 3.5, and I moved it to 4.2, which moves my needle just slightly off. So it's a scant 1/4 inch at that. We are working with all bias edges on this, and it'll just help with scant 1/4 inch to get us to size. So we need 4 of these. And we need 2. I'm going to pin the side I'm going to sew, which is that side right there. So all 4 of these I will get sewn up just like this one. And then we are going to always iron towards the green pieces, and that way when we're putting this together we can nest our seams. Alright, here's the section we built right here. Now we want to build this row, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And we need B9, and we only have 9 and 10 left, and we're also going to need our E's. So we need B9, E4, B10. So B9, E4, and B10. That's what we need for the next section, and we are going to put these together still at a scant 1/4 inch. I'm going to start with these 2. I'm going to line up the corner just like that. And you will have tails on either side, but this is the edge I want to sew. So clip, whoopsie, clip the edge you want to sew, and we'll do 4 of those also. And then we are going to always iron towards the green pieces. So iron towards the green. Okay, here's my 4 put together, and now I'm going to take my other side, which is the B10s, and add it on. And again, we're down here, we're going to, or up here, we're going to line up the corner of the triangle and the corner of the square again. So we'll have a tail on this end. Clip the side you're going to sew. And we'll do all 4 of these, and then we'll have 1 more unit to build over here. And again, iron towards the green. Okay, so the next row is going to be B10, E2, D9, and D9. So I've got these laid out here. I put this one on because it's put on exactly like this one. Line up the corner here, sew it on, iron towards the green. But these 2 will need to be centered again on our piece. So make that center crease on all of them. Center your pieces. Sew them on, and again, we're always ironing towards the green. So that's how this top piece goes on. And I'm going to get all 4 of these done. Come back, we'll do the same thing here. Okay, so here are our triangles put on, centered onto the piece. Let's go ahead and trim these just right along that edge, so that when we can put this one on, which is going to go on this edge right there, we can center it, match those seams up, crease it, crease your triangle, and then that way this one can go on centered also. So that's how we're going to put this corner on, sew this on. Remember, we're still doing a scant 1/4 inch. Sew this on, iron towards the green. Okay, here's this last unit here. So what I want to do now is just come along, and we're going to just trim all these tails. Actually, this tail needs to go with the edge of that. This tail needs to go like that, so that we have straight edges all the way around. So let's get all our tails trimmed. So to trim these tails, again, you want to just trim with the edge of your center square there. Okay, here's our 4 sections. Now what we need to do is we need to match up the seams of the colors that match. So these greens match. So we need to match that seam up. Not this one over here, but the one that matches this color. That's how I'm remembering it. And because we iron towards the green, our seams will nest. So you can see the same color will be on opposite sides of each other. So we'll get all 4 of those sewn on, and we are going to be ironing away from this center piece right here. So iron towards the outside. Okay, just a reminder, we're still working with a scant 1/4 inch. So now we need to line up these 2 seams right there. These 2 seams, and you can tell because these 2 colors right here match. So when you flip it over, you know, you have to put the 2 matching colored seams together. And because we iron towards the green, we have a nested seam. So we will sew these together, and again we're going to iron away from the center, away from this center towards the outside. Alright, here's our inner rows, and we're just going to trim our tails. Okay, let's lay this block out. So our darker colors go up here. So this is the darker of my 2 greens. This is the darker of these two greens. This goes in the middle. And then our darkest half square goes on the outside. So we have a 9 patch to put together. So you can choose how you want to put it together. If you want to put it together this way or this way, and then put the rows together. I'm going to go vertically, and I'm going to iron my seams open. So I got, look at all these little strings. Jeez, oh Pete's. What a disaster, huh? So really right here in these rows, there is no seams to match up. So we can just put them together, edge to edge, sew them, iron those seams open. But that middle row will have, we need to match this point and this point, and I usually just eyeball it. You can use a pin and find it that way, but I am literally just going to eyeball it and get these sewn together and iron the seams open if I can. May have to iron to one side. I'll have to see. There's a lot of seams coming together right there. Anyway, let's get these sewn and I'll come back and let you know what I did. Okay, I made an executive decision here to nest, so I can nest these seams. I've ironed towards the big corner, and then here I iron towards the center block. So I'm going to do the same thing. Add these, iron towards the big corner, add this, iron towards the center block, and then when we put our rows together, these seams will nest. So I'm going to finish these up and we can put those together. Oops, wrong edge. There we go. All right, 3 rows put together. My seams are ironed in different directions. So now when we put our rows together, we need to match these seams, and they will nest, and then match these points right here. So that's where I'm going to start, and then I'll work out from there. So let's match our points. Nest our seams. And then sew the rest on. Sew it. Let's just pin it. Why don't we pin it first and then sew it, huh? Good idea, Carrie. Good idea. Okay. So I'm going to get this, let's iron towards, away from the middle row. So I'm going to add the other side also, get that ironed away from the middle row, and my block will be done. All right, there is my finished hummingbird block. So now I want to build the sashing that goes around it. And my Blue Jay block has a pretty detailed video of how to do the sashing. So I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit of what I'm going to do here. Is I've already got my sashing pieces cut. I've got 2 each of left and right pieces for the long and the short. And then these are the leftovers from my C piece right here, where we only used one of them in the block. So what I did is I taped them with some washi tape back together so they created a square. And to get these triangles, we need a 5 1/4 inch square, and then we're going to cut it on the both diagonals. So this is bigger than 5 1/4, so I want to cut it at 5 1/4. So there I have my 5 1/4 inch square, and now we need to cut it on the diagonal, on both diagonals. I'm just going to cut through the tape because I can pull that off later. So I'm going to cut, well, it's already on one diagonal, so I only need this one. All right, so what I now have, and you can decide what you want to do. Last time I used 2 different colors. This time I think I'm going to use all 4 colors. So this will be our leftovers now from that C piece. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And for my hummingbird block, I'm going to have 4 different colors up here. Might as well, huh? Might as well. So I can do the lights on the long, the darks on the short. How about that? And then we've only got this much waste from our 1C block. All right, there you go. I'm going to get, like I said, I have a detailed video in my Blue Jay block, which I have a link down below if you want to go back to that. But I'm going to get my sashings built and put onto my hummingbird block, and then it will be complete. All right, there we go. There's our hummingbird block. You can see the scant 1/4 inch helped me out. I think that it's the Pure Solids fabric is a little stretchier. It's a little thinner, I think, than most cotton fabrics. So that's why I think, you know, this fabric along with the bias edges just needed that scant 1/4 inch to get everything to work. So I show you how I did that, and it turned out gorgeous. I love the colors. I love how vibrant that looks. It's so pretty. And then I showed you how I cut these also, and used up the scraps that I had from these blocks right here, or those cuts, I should say. I'll be putting this out on I'll be putting a new block out on the 20th of every month, and you can follow along with me. You don't have to use these solids. You can use whatever's in your scrap pile, or if you want to get new material, but you know, this gives you an idea of a hummingbird colors that I'm using, and you can pull from your scraps and do the same thing and make this beautiful block, and at the end of the year we'll have a bird themed quilt. So there you go. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We'll have our bird themed block here done by the end of the year, and you can follow along with all the other fun stuff I've got going on here at the channel too. So anyway, I had fun making this block, I had fun making this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!